بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن سار على نهجه إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Last time we talked about the letters very quickly. We introduced some concepts like the lunar, solar letters. We're not going to go visit them again. Hopefully that was simplified as much as possible for you and you understood them. I'm going to mention quickly three letters. I took this picture from this site here, and I actually overwrote it. This green area it has been changed, and these colors, I changed them because they had the colors along with these, with this blue. So the za, sin, sod, the zay and the sin and the sod, when you pronounce them, you really have the tongue kind of straightforward, almost like this. This would be your lower teeth. Your tongue is almost just lying right there, and you say sa, sa, sa. And what happens is it's a combination of things that comes that gives that sound. The sa, the air comes from here and hits this area, but your tongue is in here. Really, it stays right in front of this green area, but your upper and lower jaw are close to each other, so the air comes from within, deep from within your your mouth, hits the top of your palate, right close to your upper teeth, and also your tongue, and comes out like that. You can actually, if you say you can feel the air hitting this area, and also these upper teeth, the upper side of these teeth, and also your lips, right? So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna try to go through every letter and make sure that we together we feel where each letter comes out from, because it is essential that we master this. And why is that? Because we said the changing the makhraj, changing the exit of the letter will lead to changing to the sounds of the letter. And once you change the sound, you change the meaning. So a quick example, if I'm trying to say hal, ha, hal, and in a lot of non-Arabs, ha is difficult to say, so they say kha, kha. So instead of say alhamdulillahi, they say alhamdulillahi. So in that case, if I said hal, instead of saying hal, I say khal, khal. The meaning, as I'm showing here, instead of saying the situation is this, I'm now saying the uncle is this. It's a totally different meaning, right? The uncle meaning the brother of the mother or the father. So it's actually khal is from the mother's side. So the brother of the mother. So the meaning is different. But even scarier is if somebody is trying to say dalla, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this word in a multiple of places in the Quran, and talking about dalal, being misguided and losing the right path. So somebody's saying dalla, and instead of saying dalla, they said dhalla. And a lot of Arabs do that, especially in the fil Khalij. They use dha instead of da, but there is a letter that is dha. There's a different letter that is making that sound. But unfortunately, their dialects, that's how they normally speak in their dialects, but that's not the correct Arabic. And if we switch that, instead of saying now he went misguided, the meaning is actually now he stayed. He stayed on something. He insisted on something. So the meaning is greatly changed when we change the makhraj, the exit of a letter. And scholars say it's as if you have a container. So the makhraj is the container, and the meaning is the liquid inside the container. So if the container changes shape, the liquid inside of it will change shape along with it, right? So whatever we're doing with the container, of course, the meaning will change with it. So we're going to be careful. Here, I try to clean everything out and simplify it to the maximum so that we only have really the five basic areas where letters are pronounced from. And there are five areas that scholars use. One is the halq, which is this area, al-halq, the throat. Two is al-jawf, and in this case, jawf is actually 1 and 2. It's the chamber that comes from the throat and from the mouth. So this is the tongue. 3 is the tongue. So 1 and 2 is the space that is available between here and here. Okay, so 2 is actually 1 and 2 together. 1 is only this area. 3 is the tongue. 4 is the nose. And 5 is the lips. So these are considered the 5 major areas where letters are pronounced, are coming from. And when we say letters come from those areas, doesn't mean that other areas have nothing to do with them. So for example, when we say, a letter like la, which is pronounced using the tongue, doesn't mean that really there's no air coming from here. Every letter is pronounced having air coming from here, pushing through, right? But we're saying that the tongue has the most essential role, because if you don't move the tongue in that way, that letter does not come out. And from the 29 letters, we're gonna go with the old scholar count. The 29 letters, there is 18 letters that are pronounced using the tongue. So the most complicated area that we're going to try to focus on is the tongue, because from the tongue comes 18 out of 29 letters, or 28 letters if you're agreeing with the modern way of counting letters. And even, that's even in the Quran. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes uses the tongue to point to the language. So Allah says, بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ, lisanin. So with the tongue that is Arabic, even though the tongue, like we're showing, is not really covering all the letters, but since it's covering most of them, it's considered to be covering the whole language. وَلَا تُحَرِّكْ بِهِ لَا تُحَرِّكْ بِهِ لِسَانَكَ, and don't move your tongue. So for the jawf, which is the chamber, that is the space between all the space that we have in the throat and the mouth, between the tongue and the upper palate. This is really for the sounds that are the med, the alif, and we always, to remind you that we extend, the med is the extensions, and we extend using the alif only letters that already have a fatha. If a letter has any different accent, a kasra or a dhamma or a sukoon, it cannot be extended. So the alif would not be a med, right? So these letters are only considered med or extensions when the letters before them are of the same type of sounds. For example, you would say qala. Qa. Qa has a fatha and followed by an alif. So you extend it and you say qala. And in that sound, all what you're using when you're pronouncing the alif, you're not really pronouncing anything. You're just extending the previous sound of qa, right? So qa is the letter that you used your tongue to pronounce. So you said qa, and then the air just flows out through your throat into the chamber, the whole thing, and comes out. Qa, ah. So there's nothing really interrupting the flow of air when you're pronouncing the med, right? And that's why there's no special spot. We don't say it's coming from this spot or that spot or from here or there. It just flows without any stop, right? And when the same thing for the waw, it becomes oo, like yesu, su. And you have to be careful when you say oo, the extension, you have to put your mouth together, okay? You have to have the oo perfect, perfectly done. It has to be like a small O with your lips. They have to form a small O together when you're pronouncing the extension of the med. Yeah, also is an extension that makes the sound of E. We know that, right? So E, so A, U, E. E is C, A, C, A. So this should be pretty straightforward for these sounds. So we're gonna move to the next letter. So there's some letters from the lips. I want everybody to repeat after me what I'm saying, even though maybe I can't hear you now, but maybe at some point in the class, maybe we'll do some together. But these are easy enough, and they're present in other languages, even in the English language. So I'm not too worried about the pronunciation. But say after me, fa, fa. And I want you, when you say it, to realize and feel that fa comes from your upper teeth intersecting with your lower lips. Fa. And the air is just pushing through them, right? Everybody who did that and feels exactly where the letter is coming out from, I want you to give me a thumbs up. Fa, fu, fu, fi, f. Say f, f. Okay, let's clear those thumbs up. Let's move to wa, wa, wa. Wa, you're not touching, lips do not touch each other. They're hovering close to each other. And you make the sound wa, wa, wu, we, wa, wu, we. Again, give me a thumbs up if that's easy enough for you. Wa, wu, we, ow, ow. So the letters get close to each other. They hover, make that vibration sound, and that's how we get the sound wa. Finally, ba, ba. You start by touching ba, boo, bi, ab, ab. The lips are touching each other. Nothing else is working. Just to make sure, I want everybody to do this now with me. I'm gonna say ba, 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 ba. Did you see? I'm closing and opening my nose when I'm saying ba, 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 and the sound did not change. Yeah, it shouldn't do anything like this. Ba, ba. See, I did it wrong the second time. So can you all do that? Ba, ba. Open and close your mouth when you're saying ba, and keep doing it until you make sure that your pronunciation of ba does not change throughout that exercise. And when you do that and you're fine, send me a thumbs up to make sure that you're all set with that. Ba, good. Okay, so we're making sure that we understand that these letters, this is their exit, right? They're not coming out of anywhere else, because there's two exits here that at the end, the air gonna flow out from, right? The air at the end of the day is gonna come out of either the lips or from the nose. Like that's the exits of the air. I'm not talking about the exit of the letter, but the air. So in these letters, they're only gonna be using the exit of the lips of the mouth. Now for the more complicated area. Here we have the tongue, and we said that the tongue, there's 10, the scholars said there's 10 different spots or areas where letters come out from. If we want it to be accurate, to extremely accurate, there's gonna be an exit for each letter, right? And since we said the tongue covers 18 letters, that means every single letter has its own exit from the tongue. So from the tongue, we're gonna have 18 different exits. The tongue is gonna move in an 18 different way, and every single movement and position will give us a letter. But since some of these positions are so close to each other, the scholars grouped some of them together because they're so close to each other. So at the end of the day, we have these 10 groupings, 10 groupings. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start with the back, all the way back close to the throat, to the tonsils. And we're gonna start going from that towards the lips, right? So for all the way from the back towards the lips. And we're gonna go through all the letters and make sure that we feel where that letter is coming from. The deepest letter that uses the tongue is the letter qaf. So we're gonna all say qa, qa. And be careful, you're gonna feel your tongue elevating a little bit from the back, right? It's not gonna close, right? If you close, you can't breathe, so you won't be able to pronounce anything. But you have to also make sure that it is moving, otherwise it's gonna sound like kha, kha. Kha is a different letter, right? Kha is a letter that is not pronounced using the tongue, whereas qa is. Qa is pronounced very, very close to kha, but kha is just air coming and hitting the upper, this area, just air coming and hitting that. when you say the qa, also your tongue kind of comes back and goes up towards that area at the same time. And so it makes a smaller area for the air to come out from, and then qa comes out, that sound. So I want you to say qa, 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 qa several times. Qa, qa. It has to be like right at that edge, and try to see if it comes clear. Qa, qa, qu, qu, qi, qi, aqqa, aqqa, aqqa. And we're going to talk about this letter because it's a bouncing letter. That means it has a qalqala feature. This is one of the characteristics of this letter that we're going to talk about in the future. So what is aqqa? Aqqa. Who can give me a thumbs up if you think you're getting this letter correctly? Aqqa, qa, qu, qi, aqqa, qa. Okay. Not as many people as excited as the last few letters. Okay, okay, but I hope you're getting it. We'll discuss the ones that you're having difficulties with. We'll probably have in the discussion later, and I can hear you practicing them. Let's try moving on to the next one. A little closer towards the front of your mouth is the letter kaf. Ka, 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 ka. Say ka, ka, and feel how, go back a little bit to qa, ka, qa, ka. Realize how qa was deeper, right? All the way down there. And qa, ka. We went up, and now we're about here, and we're saying ka, ka, cat. That should be an easy letter because it is present in the English language. Ku, ku, ki, ki. And when we pronounce it with sukoon, we say ek, ek. So everybody say ka, ku, ki, ek. And when you do it and you think you're good, give me a thumbs up. Ka, ku, ki, ek, ek. Okay, we're gonna move to area number 3. So number 3, if you watch my, I'm gonna try to use some annotation here. Number 3 is like here. Okay, it's a spot. It's not only one point. It's a 3 different points. Why I say that? Because we have 3 different letters, right? So there's the ya, the jim, and the sheen are from this spot. So let's start with the ya. Ya, ya. Note that ya, your tongue is not touching anything, but the tongue is moving, right? And that's why it is considered a letter that is coming from the tongue. Your tongue is moving in a certain way. Yeah, it is getting close to the palate, hovering very close to the palate, parallel to it at that spot. Yeah, yeah, you, ye, a, yeah. That also should be an easy letter because it is like yeah, yes, yeah in the English language. Yeah, a little closer is ja, 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 ju, ji. Always the whole point of today's lesson is I want you to try to feel where the letter is coming from, right? I don't want you to just be listening to me. Alhamdulillah, I practiced enough and I lost my voice practicing to these letters. So I want you to be trying to have a feel of where the letter is coming from and actually feel how it is true that these letters are almost coming out according to how this picture is showing, right? So hopefully we're depicting it as accurately as possible. Ja, ju, ji, edge, edge, edge. Give me a thumbs up if you're with me until now. Edge, edge. Okay, edge. Next letter. For those who are struggling with some letters, write down those letters, and inshallah, when we decide to get to the questions, we can discuss, and I can even listen to you, inshallah. Sheen, sha. In front of those, still in 3, but it's closer, even a little bit closer to your front of the, to the mouth. Sha, sh. So let's go back and feel them again. Ya, ja, sh, sha, sh. Now we can feel some air also hitting from closer to the front of the mouth, right? So ya, ja, sh, sha, shu, she, ash, ash, ash. Number 4 is a complicated one. Number 4 is da. And maybe da is easy the first time you hear it, but to pronounce it in sukoon, it's actually a very difficult letter to pronounce. And it's in Surah Al-Fatiha, and that's also what makes it important to try to master it, because it's part of Surah Al-Fatiha, which is, you know, the main surah that we have to recite in every prayer. And when we say اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا غير المغضوب is one. غير المغضوب, this is the first da, right? ضو. غير المغضوب, not غير المغضوب, not ضو. ضو. It uses the entire tongue. How does it use the entire tongue? So let me try to explain here. Imagine this is the tongue, okay? These are the edges. This side is one edge of the tongue, and this side is another edge of the tongue, okay? Now, when you put this tongue like this, and on the this is the tongue, right? So I'm just showing you from here, right? So the tongue, the way it's gonna be put is we're gonna raise the tongue as if it's a spoon, not flat. Relax it a little bit in the middle. So relax your tongue in general. You don't have like to think about making it a spoon, but I'm trying to tell you that don't make it flat or try to push it strongly up to the palate. If you push it too much, you kill it and you cannot pronounce it like walad. It doesn't come out because the air is shut. The place where the air can flow is shut, and you cannot pronounce the dalin. So you relax your tongue in the center, and the edges of your tongue have to align with your upper molars. So your tongue is like this, and imagine that this edge is aligned with my inner side of these molars, and this side of the tongue is aligned my inner side of the upper molars, right? So now some people say you can align it with one side, and some people say with another side. We're gonna take I believe what is easiest, which is just align the whole tongue instead of trying to be fancy and go with one side or another. So the da, when you pronounce it, you cover the entire area, and also even the tip of your tongue is also there, but you're not pressuring too much. The pressure is on the sides, and easily pressuring from the tip of your tongue. And what happens when you're saying the sukoon of, see, there's a extension of the da, and the reason why that happens is that you put that tongue up, this side on that inner molar side from here, this side from that side, and when you start giving it the breath, the tongue moves slightly forward until it hits the upper teeth from the base of the upper teeth, and then it stops. So it's like it slides with it and hits that, and that's where it stops. So the da is actually covering, the tongue is covering that entire area. It's using the entire palate, and your entire tongue is working. And a tip, even though teachers that teach this course don't really say that, but I'm gonna say it. I know some people will be against me, but I really believe that this is how you pronounce it. Use your nose to release just a little bit of air when you're pronouncing. Use your nose to release the pressure. It's like, you know, when you're cooking, you know, when you're cooking and you have you put the cover and it has one thing that releases pressure, right? The reason why I'm saying that is, imagine you're putting the tongue up. If I'm putting my tongue up and I'm closing the tongue on all the teeth, there's no air coming out of anywhere. So really there's pressure, and that sound is not gonna come out. So there has to be some little bit of air released at some point from the nose, and that's gonna help you pronounce that letter. Yes, it's true. The sheikh, some shuyukh do tilt, like I said, towards towards the right or towards the left, but mostly you know, it's easiest, I believe, to do it from both sides, and at least, you know, to practice that way. So what we're gonna try to do is, first let's try to say do, 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 di, di. Maybe from all those pronunciations, I believe, and you're gonna maybe tell me if you agree with me, di is the easiest one to say. Di. It's easier than do, do, di. And the reason why is, when you say di, your tongue in the back is not high. So it's allowing more air to flow in, and it's giving you a chance to actually pronounce it. So di, let's start with di because it's the easiest. Di, di, and then say di, and then after, don't say di, right? Not di. Di is there's dal. Di, do, do, and غير المغضوب عليهم ولا. So I want you to cheat, and I want you to on purpose say wala and release some of the air with your nose on purpose. even though in the future that's not what should happen, okay? But as a step in the middle, release air from your nose. So I want you to say غير المغضوب عليهم ولا I'm actually using my nose. I'm faking it. But the reason why I'm telling you this is a good step in between. If you start doing that, and slowly you're gonna be able to easily take out your nose and just use your tongue and stop and where you should be stopping. Okay. Okay, so I think that's enough for now on this letter. We'll move on to number 5. Spot number 5 is la. Everybody say la. Our tongue in do, we use the entire sides and the tips of our tongue from here all the way to here. In la, we're using only from here to here, right? It's the tip of the tongue, for the top part. So we say la, right? So that's an easy letter, but we have to feel it compared to the previous letters. Do, la. Do is spread out, covering the entire thing from molars to molars. Do, la. La is not wide, it's narrow. La. After la, na. La, na. La, na. 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 And after na, ra. Another letter that is not touching really, right? We're not touching things with the ra. It's hovering. So na, ra, ra. No touching. Na, la, na, ra. La, na, ra. La, na, ra. Ra. And ra is a heavy letter. We're going to talk about heavy letters next time, inshallah. Your tip of the tongue is being used, right? Ra, ru, ri. Number 8, da, ta, and ta. So these, we said these 3 letters are coming out from the same spot. Da, ta, and ta. Da, ta, and ta. If you pay attention, they're really all coming out from that exact same spot almost, right? Your tongue is right at the base of those upper teeth. Da, ta, ta. And even though they're almost the same exact spot where the tongue is, they're pronounced differently. And how come? Because we said there's still characteristics for every tooth that makes it different from the other one. So they're coming out from the same place. Like we said in the first session, like they're all coming from Lebanon, but they're not all the same. Not all Lebanese people look exactly the same, right? So they have different characteristics. So we have to talk about that in the future. But da, ta, ta, ad, at, to. So everybody make sure you're saying it after me. Ad, at, to. Next is number 9. Sod, sin, and zay. Number 9. So in number 9, the tongue is almost, like I said, in line with your lower teeth, and the air is flowing in, hitting the upper area here of your palate that is close to the base of your upper teeth, and hitting your tongue and coming out. S, sa, su, si, za, zu, zi, s, as, as. And if you spend some time saying those letters again and again, you start realizing that's it's true. Every single letter has its own exit. It's just slightly different than the next one. S, as, else, else. And finally, number 10, from the upper teeth, the edge of the upper teeth, we have va, 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 vibration. Your tooth is not really like strongly on it. It's vibrating off of the upper teeth. And your tongue is on the edge of the upper teeth, maybe slightly if you want after it or slightly before it, inside of it, but not never outside, like never like that. That's it looks even not right. So va, 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 vibration. The, also vibrating letter. The, and tha. Tha. Tha is more of a stronger letter, right? It's less vibration. If you make tha vibrate, you get the. So tha, your tongue has to go stronger against your teeth so that sound comes out correctly. So that would give us tha. So these are the 18 letters that the tongue gives us. And I believe we're already beyond our time. So I'll stop here and I'll allow for questions, inshallah.